Hi, everyone. I'm really, really excited to be having this chat with a very, very dear friend. So I'll let Doug introduce himself.
Yes, hello everybody. Hi, Sumathi. I'm Doug Levine. I am a physical therapist. I live here in Austin, Texas. And I've been a physical therapist for about 26 years. And I work predominantly, well, pretty much only with children now. I worked for about 1 year with adults, my first year, and the last 25 with kids.
So, Doug, I remember our first meeting here, the very first time we met. I think it was over an exchange of tomatoes for cucumbers or something like that. And I
I think that's right.
remember you, when I opened the door, like you had this basket, but I saw you in scrubs and I actually thought you were a doctor. And only later I would find out that you're a physical therapist. So, I guess my very first question is, uh, because we know what it takes to become a doctor in terms of the timing, the training, and that. What does it actually take for someone to become like a professional in physiotherapy? How long does it take? What is the process?
Sure. Well, you need an undergraduate degree first before you can even apply to physical therapy schools. So, a 4 year undergraduate degree. And then every physical therapy school that you would go to is a little bit different in terms of the requirements that they want. But typically, it's pretty similar to like medical school. They want you to have all the sciences and anatomy and physiology and things like that. And then physical therapy school itself is 3 to 4 years, and pretty much all schools now are a doctorate. So when I graduated back in 97, it was transitioning from a bachelor's degree for physical therapy to a master's. And my school was one of, I think, three in the country that offer the master's degree. And now it's changed so much so that pretty much everybody comes out with a doctorate in physical therapy.
So that's almost 12 years plus, 10 years.
No,
10
it's
to,
it's it's about 7 or 8 if you include the undergraduate, which is
ah,
four
okay.
years, and then 3 to 4 years of physical therapy
Master.
school.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Yeah, that's quite a lot of time, and even for us, I think it takes a good 8 to 9 years for us to present someone as a professional dancer. Like not even a professional, I would call the very first time we debut, even to reach up to that point where if we start at four, it takes us about anywhere from 8 to 10 years. So I can see the time. But what also catches my attention is the amount of time involved. I guess what I'm trying to talk about is the process. Like, um, as a dancer, when we are training to be a professional dancer, there's a very heavy emphasis on the process more than the end product. And the end product, by end product, I mean like a performance. And I've seen that with gardening too, which we both love, right? We have no control over what will happen. If we are even going to get those carrots that we are sowing, but it's that process that we are very, very invested in. So is it the same for physiotherapy as well?
Yeah, I think it's exactly the same. I mean, you're dealing with people, and this is not like we're dealing with computers where you always hit this button and this is going to happen. You're very much dealing with things that are beyond your control. So it's so much about the process. You definitely want to have goals in mind, and you want to have the end result, whether you're working with kids, whether you're working with adults, you have these things in your mind of where you want to get to. You want them to be able to climb the stairs again, or you want them to be able to do this independently or that independently. But you very much have to be aware of the process, and you have to be open to the fact that that journey can change. So
Mhm.
there's lots of times, especially working with kids, but even working with adults, where I come into a treatment session thinking I'm going to do A, B, and C, and then maybe they're having a bad day or they don't want to do A, B, and C, and so you have to kind of on the fly quickly change that and do the best that you can to keep them involved in that process.
Hmm, hmm. Okay, okay, okay. But so you were talking about working with them and changing. So has it always been important for you then that they understand what you're trying to do? Because I mean, I can imagine with adults, wanting to understand what you're trying to do, so the result is more favorable. But with children, that's often not the case, right? Because they may not get what you're saying. So then, how do you balance that?
Well, yeah, for sure. When you're working with kids, for the most part, you have to make everything into a game or a fun activity. So I might be working on balancing on one leg, or I might be working on standing up from the floor. But what I want them to know is that we're playing Legos, or we're trying to throw a ball in the hoop, or whatever it is. So it is, it's you do, when you're working with kids, have to change things around um, so that sometimes they don't know what's going on. Because if you do kind of this same rote thing of, okay, we're going to do 10 of this exercise, 10 of that exercise, you're going to lose them. Where with adults, you can explain those things. So always, 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 still in line with your question, um, when I'm working with kids, I'm still very much explaining to the parents what I'm trying to accomplish, because I want them to be a part of the process. I want them to understand what we're doing so that they can carry that out when I'm not there.
Okay. I love what I'm hearing, because and I'm smiling because the project that we're doing, rooted the foundation. So the way we decided to take dance back from the traditional format into the audiences. One of the formats was exactly through games, right? And we figured that there is a sort of a barrier, which has that conditioning has happened over time, and people are not able to come and view dance the same way when it was presented in the traditional format. So we had to come up with ideas, and we found that the moment we thought of games and we changed how we can make them look at art, they just drop their barrier. They're more receptive to this art form, and they're able to appreciate it. So it was just interesting for me to hear that also with what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Also
think,
with physio. Sorry.
no,
Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, I think that's how we're wired as humans, right? If we're interested in the activity, we're going to participate, we're going to pay attention. If we're not going to.
Yeah. I love that you said that. So the other thing that I find, which is common between dance and physiotherapy and gardening, is how actively we use our hands and our mind. Right. So I just wanted to sort of hear your thoughts, like, even if you could just compare it to how you do it with physiotherapy, and then do you see how it translates into gardening for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's a similarity with that in using your hands. There's a similarity in patience,
Mhm.
because you can do all the right things in gardening, you could do all the right things in physiotherapy, but you have to wait. Sometimes you have to wait for the result for a long time. So there's patience. But it is, I mean, with physical therapy, there's a lot that I'm teaching the person, or I'm teaching the parent. But it is also important to get kind of hands-on, because it is very much a feel sort of thing. Like if I'm working with a child and we're working on balance, if I have my hands like on their trunk or on their waist, I can feel when muscles are activating. I can feel when they're shifting weight. Same thing in gardening. I mean, I can go out there and look and think, oh, everything looks great. And then I turn the leaves over and oh, there's some sort of pest or disease here. Or you get your hands in the soil and you can feel like, oh, I have to loosen this up, or it needs more nutrients. And so um, I think it takes two things, both of those things, kind of a 10,000-foot approach with standing back and seeing the whole picture, what's going on,
Hmm.
but then getting in up close and turning leaves over and pruning and hands-on is important.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's uh, sometimes we get lost in the very close up shots. We tend everything looks magnified, but then when you step back and when you look at things, it doesn't seem so bad.
Right.
I think that's about my question for you, Doug, and I hope to see you at the concert. And I want to thank you for your time today. It was lovely having you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and I enjoyed it.